And we're back with Get Down to Business. This show is all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And again, you can download the podcast of this show and find out information on next week's guests at my website, shalomklein.com. We are honored to be joined by State Senator Daniel Biss, who represents the 9th District, which includes Skokie, Glenview, Evanston, a whole bunch of other northern suburbs, and is really, truly a friend of small business, a friend of our organization, Jewish B2B Networking. So, Senator, thanks for joining us. Let's jump right into it. It's going to be an interesting year, an election year. Let's be blunt. Will you be able to get anything done in Springfield?
Well, thanks for the bluntness, and thanks for having me on the show. There's no question that the legislative process is going to be seen through a political lens, which can be a shame. There's no question about it. But we're going to try our best to do what we can. I try to spend my energy focusing on policy and let other people worry about the politics and try to do the right thing for the community.
And you certainly are very engaged with the community, very focused on policy. There's probably nobody that understands the pension issues better than you, Daniel. So we are thrilled to have you here on the show. Tell us a little bit about the issues that you're focused on. What committees do you sit on in the legislature?
Well, I sit on 5 committees, the Education and Higher Education Committees, Local Government, Environment, and also the License Activities and Pension Committee. And as you said, I've spent an awful lot of my time in the legislature focused on the pension issue, not because it's the world's most fun issue, but because it's unbelievably important for our state and for our municipalities. We were able in December to pass a pension reform law for the state pension systems, and it was painful and it was involved a lot of sacrifice, but I believe it was a necessary thing to do for the state. But what it didn't do was address the pension challenges that are experienced by municipalities. So a few weeks ago we passed a pension reform bill addressing the municipal and laborers fund for the city of Chicago, but now there are still a number of other Chicago pension funds, downstate, suburban pension funds, Cook County funds. These issues need to be addressed in order to bring some fiscal sustainability to our local governments and allow them to focus on the kind of programmatic expenditures as well as a tax climate that our entrepreneurs need.
Senator Biss, when you were in the House, in the Illinois House, you helped pass legislation that would make sure small businesses are considered for some number of state contracts. What else can the state do for small business?
Well, I think there's several categories. We need to make sure, as that bill was one small piece of doing, we need to make sure that there's a level playing field for government contracts. But we also need to work very, very aggressively on having a regulatory environment that's streamlined and efficient. One of the great differences, obviously, between large and small businesses is the amount of available staff who have the time and the ability to work through complex permitting processes and other forms of state and local government regulations. So we need to be very, very aggressive about making those regulatory processes as efficient, as streamlined, and quick as possible. And then I also think we need to be honest about the importance for the entire business climate of having a state budget and a state fiscal position that is workable, that is honest, that is balanced, and that can give a sense of certainty and stability for the long term so that entrepreneurs know what they can expect in coming years.
That's definitely what businesses are looking for. They're looking for, as you said, the sustainability. They're looking for simplicity. We need to cut some of the red tape, and you've helped make some of that happen. Bottom line, are there opportunities for small businesses to do business with the state of Illinois and CMS and many of the other state agencies? If I recall, you brought CMS out to the area to make people aware of some of those opportunities. What are some of the success stories that you've heard?
Well, you mentioned this meeting that we had. We brought CMS out to the area, and we had a really significant number of local small businesses who were, I'm just going to be honest, were completely confused about the contracting process, about the bidding process, and we really needed to clear up a lot of that confusion. One thing that has happened over the years is that the state, as everybody knows, has a really grotesque history of corruption. And so we try to work on that in the legislature. That's all good and well, unfortunately, if we address those problems in a way that's not careful enough, what we can do is build layers and layers and layers of paperwork and regulations and rules that may not even do a great job of addressing corruption, but do make it impossible for small businesses to compete. And so we need to be very, very, very transparent about what is necessary for a small business to compete for contracts, and then also to have a kind of a simple one-stop shop so that the businesses that cease to do these contracts and cease to perform these services for the state don't find themselves in a position where, unless they have 7 different attorneys and 5 different accountants willing to fill out 46 forms each, they're not eligible. These are the kinds of things that we have to do away with, and we've had some success in recent years, and we just need to keep on making sure with a very, very clear focus that that's what we have in mind when we design our processes.
And we've got just over half a minute left. Daniel, do you think that the minimum wage increase will be passed here in Illinois?
It's something that there's a lot of talk about. If you were to force me to predict, will it happen this spring, I don't think there's quite the support yet, though it certainly might. There's a very, very strong interest in addressing the growing economic inequality and finding ways to help low-wage workers. And there's also an interest in doing it in a way that doesn't stifle employment. And I think we're working through those discussions, and I expect there to be progress at some point, but I'm not certain if it'll be this spring.
It's an important issue. I know one that's going to come up a great deal. Daniel, thanks for joining us. How can people contact you?
You can either call me at 847-568-1250, email me at senatorbiss@gmail.com, or go to my website at senatorbiss.com. I love hearing from constituents and appreciate the chance to have this dialogue today.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Shalom.